Yo, what's up, guys? Why not be reckless? AK Why Not Be Casting here. I'm one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS report for you, where today we're going to be focused on the off-season, which we've been kind of doing all off-season long, but we're actually be talking more about the tournaments, and in addition to the results, talk about some of the teams that may be rumored to be going forward into HCS Season 3 that nobody else is talking about. So let's dive right into it, guys. HCS had an incredible offseason so far as offseason events, really giving us an appetizer to the main course, which is going to be that first event and land season. Obviously, a lot of us, well, I'm gonna speak for myself. Obviously, myself, I've been excited to get into actual year 3. I think the rosters are incredible. I think the game's meta shit has been absolutely incredible, and I just want to see top level Halo. And like I said, we got a bit of a taste for that. So we're gonna go all the way back to the first off-season event, and then we're going to go to the most recent one, and let's talk about that free-for-all that happened. I think it was presented by the Marines. Amazing free-for-all. You're seeing that a lot of players didn't just say, "Oh, free-for-all, I'm not gonna get involved with it." A lot of players, especially pro players, saw the free-for-all and said, "You know what? Let's get involved." You see the likes of Soul Snipe coming out with the big win, Cycle in just second place, but even Stellar coming out, Suspector coming out, King Nick, Envoy, Mortally. A lot of these players that we don't get to see on LAN free-for-alls because they're still involved in the actual tournament, and to my knowledge, you can't compete in the 4v4 LAN tournaments and the free-for-all at the same time. A lot of players that we normally don't see in free-for-all, although they are amazing free-for-all players, came out to show that they still got it, and yes, they did. I will say Phoenix Dex, not sure who that is, but everybody else on the list is fairly familiar as far as name wise. But shout out to whoever Phoenix Dex is, getting all the way to 5th place. Do your thing, bro. Free for all's a nice though, but why don't we hop into the actual 4v4 action? You know, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about that 4v4 action, and we saw teams like Solitude, Borders Crossers. We're going to talk about them soon come out, but I also want to talk about Incognito, which we've kind of glanced about them in the past, but we haven't sat here and really dove into this roster and really talked about it, at least not in an official video. Most time I talk about them happen to be on my stream. But you have YNOT, Precision, Hush, the artist formerly going by Carmea, now going by either God's Hand or Descendant. Both names pretty cool, but I still like Carmea. And this team has been grinding together week after week, playing together, and also scrimming with Ashes, who obviously is heavily involved with Complexity, in the lobby and observing. That to me tells me that this Incognito roster is a legit possibility to be under that Complexity roster. And going to Season 3, I'm about 99% sure that they're going under Complexity. And it's kind of no surprise, YNOT and Carmea, they've teamed in the past. YNOT has been a big fan of him. And then Precision and Huss have been teaming for quite some time, most recently on G1 alongside Swish. Now looking to go a little bit of a different direction, but this team has been very good, and we're going to talk about them and their weekly performances. Orange Iguanas, another squad that I would say watch out for, you guys. I'm not sure if they have an org lined up, but you have Super CC Immortally, long time with that Flyers roster, TSS. They've been going by multiple different names, but they've been teaming together for quite some time. Very good. You got Super CC with his speed, and you have Mortally with not only his ability to up the tempo and make dynamic plays, but a great IGL. I've actually been in the lobby with him myself, and let me tell you, he's damn good, has a good mind for the game. You combine that with Cherish, former Apex professional player, and then Last Shot, who I've been watching since the SWAT days, since the Halo 5 SWAT days, who have seemingly came out of nowhere. And Orange Iguanas, they've been teaming together week after week. We'll see them multiple times here. Again, watch out for them, because although I don't put them in the same realm as a Complexity or Incognito, excuse me, I will say this is a team that's going to consistently fight for pro bracket and gonna want to consistently be a pro team. So you got to be within that top team and either make it out of open or never put yourself in a situation to get into open bracket. Crowd pleasers, Cloud9, they were outplaced by Incognito and Orange Iguanas. I would say watch out for that. And then, of course, last thing we're going to talk about here will be SSGT, which is we see Legend in this iteration, but I will say most of the time we saw Sika, SLG, Glory, and Chick filling out that roster. Obviously, Legend leaving this old Quadrant roster, now going by Lagcom and competing under Space Station Gaming. That role has to be filled, and so far Glory has signed up with every single tournament with them, so I would say watch out for that name in Glory. And finally, let's talk about the fact that we get to bracket play, we get to the grand finals, and we have Solitude and Border Crossers, which, by the way, Solitude coming out of the elimination bracket, 3-0ing Border Crossers, the Boo Boo Doo, Suppressed Avenue, and Frosty in the first off-season tournament, going against Legend, Trippy, Drift, and Tapping Buttons for Border Crossers. And eventually, not only did they reset the bracket, come out of the elimination bracket in a 3-0 fashion, but they also took Border Crossers to an amazing Game 5 where Solitude come out on top, beating this very Border Crossed roster and becoming your champions in your first off-season event. We only saw free-for-alls once every other week, so going into next event, this was another 4v4 and open this time in December 10th, where we saw Shopify Rebellion coming out with their new roster. In case you guys forgot, that's Soul Snipe, Suppressed, Cycle, and Mental. Swapping out both Rhino and Rain for the native red duo in Soul Snipe and Suppressed. We saw them coming in on their first tournament. We saw Coliseum, which was a star-studded team. We saw Open Team, which I believe could have been a squad. It was Suspector, Sabinator, and I want to say Swish was involved in that roster as well. If I remember correctly, their name's not showing here because it was so long ago. But I thought that could actually be an actual squad. I'm sorry, Gilkey was there for, an actual squad. But eventually, looks like multiple of those team members ended up going a different way. SSGT coming out again and again. We saw Glory involved. This time, Legend wasn't involved with that. It was 100% Chick. Orange Iguana showing themselves again, and a bunch of other teams, and it eventually ended up being Rebellion coming out with the win. So Mental, Suppressed, Soul Snipe, and Cycle. Game 5 against a star-studded Coliseum roster. There we go. Boo Boo Doo Boo, Frosty, Diagram, and Stellar. 2 former MVPs, one of the most fundamental players in the game, and then Diagram, who is a young star in the making. Love me some Diagram action, and it was Team Shopify Rebellion coming out with the Game 5 win. Next up, we do have another free-for-all. And this time, the usual suspects coming out: Suspector, Stellar, Mortally, Envor, King Nick. I will say, return of the world champion FFA player, or at least a world champion FFA player, in Bobster coming out of nowhere. Cycle we saw last time, and also Sabinator making it into the final rounds. But this time, it was Suspector coming out with the big win, not Soul Snipe this time. It was Suspector coming out with the big win. Stellar right behind them in second place. But again, I love the fact that a lot of these professional players coming out and showing us that free-for-all action. It wasn't too long ago where your 4v4 points or placings was determined by free-for-all, which, I'll be honest, I thought that was actually really cool. And we saw a lot of teams like Prototype and Straight Sick come out of nowhere because they were amazing free-for-all players, and they would consistently give themselves better seeding going into the 4v4s, even though they were amazing 4v4 players, but they kind of made their bread and butter in free-for-all, and it mattered when going into 4v4 action. So I would love to see if we kind of bring that back a little bit. Seeding determined by free-for-all. Probably would never happen, but hey, that's just me. Going into our third and final off-season event before a major organization took over and bumped up that prize pool, we see Solitude making their return. We see Incognito back. Business was a new squad, which I'm pretty sure Talik, Druk, Septify, and Swish Fives. Interesting roster that we see here, especially with Druk, who's battling visa issues, but from what I heard, can compete under a Canadian org when coming over to LAN. Talik, obviously a free agent, part of that Native Red roster. Swish, part of G1. I'm not sure he's still with them or has separated and is looking for a different org. But either way, Business coming out of nowhere. SSG tier back. Native Gaming making their retraction. Native Gaming coming in and competing with their new roster, and of course the return of Cloud9 and many other teams that we should be watching out for. Going into bracket play, grand finals, and another bracket reset. We love when our bracket resets, huh? Again, Incognito, potentially a complexity roster, potentially. God's Hand Descendant or Cardmare, whatever name he's gonna be going by. Precision, Huss, and Ryan going up against Solitude. Another star-studded roster, this time Frosty and Renegade, half of that FaZe duo, alongside two of the triplets, Suppressed and Avenue. Incognito coming in, resetting the bracket. But Solitude will stand strong. And Solitude ends up winning this out 3-1. Incognito almost pulling off the bracket reset and the swindle. But it looks like they end up going down in your last off-season tournament before FaZe took over. Before we get there, we'll talk about the free-for-all. A little bit of a different lineup here. Super CC, we saw Soulstipe, who ended up winning one of the tournaments, coming in second place. By the way, this was crazy. Soulstipe was actually, I believe he was tied up in the final 30 seconds of the game and was looking for a player. He ran from blue utility to yellow utility to back yellow to yellow fridge and only saw one person, although there was like 6 engagements that would happen. There were so many trades that were happening out in front of him when watching the overlay that he was trying to get involved with them, but was always like just one step behind. And in those final 30 seconds, really didn't have a chance to even try to get those kills and try to compete for first place. Because while all that happened and Soulstipe was looking for his next victim, Super CC stacked up 3 kills in order to win the tournament. I thought it was interesting, but JK used to play on max sensitivity back in Halo 5. Hative, I think I've seen Hative and Mortally teaming in the past, but Hative definitely a very good free-for-all and 4v4 player. Ryan coming back, showing he still got it. Hey! I'm making a video. Ryan showing that he still got the free-for-all. King Nick with his turn. Jimbo, who I believe might have been in the States because his girlfriend lives in America, maybe Arizona or something. So he might have been in the States and able to compete. And I'm not sure who Inner Intel is, but he rounded out our top 8 in our final free-for-all in the offseason. But finally, kind of what you all been waiting for is that final tournament where FaZe stepped in, and this was no longer just the HCS off-season tournament. It was now the FaZe off-season tournament. I think it was like a $5,000 or $6,000 prize pool. Absolutely incredible, and that made a lot of teams kind of open their eyes. Like, oh, you know what? We want to get involved. FaZe ended up signing with their full roster. Same for SSG. Harmony coming in. Again, Talik, Druk, Swish, but this time Manny as opposed to Septify. And many more look to compete for that elevated prize pool. Of course, we go to bracket play, where we see another bracket reset. FaZe making it through the winners finals, over toward that grand finals. SSG coming in, which, by the way, SSG sporting Legend, who I believe Legend said he'll be competing here in America come February. But until then, he's going to be stuck overseas in the EU. But again, eventually, he will be coming over to North America. He will be competing with the team. But with these open tournaments, anybody can play. Going from Pluto, and playing as long as your ping was under 5,000. SSG coming out with the 3-0 win, resetting the bracket, and FaZe having to go the distance, having to go all the way to Game 5 in order to come out with the win, but eventually FaZe are your champions of the FaZe off-season event. Doesn't seem very fair. They had a little home field advantage, but they come out with a huge win of that elevated prize pool. Thank you very much, FaZe organization, for doing that, and thank for FaZe Clan for signing up and showing us all what it's all about. So far, the off-season has been incredible. I do wish we could have raised the team caps a little bit to allow more teams to sign up, but I'm also happy that these tournaments ended in one day. You know, as I said, because I'd imagine we go to 128. Yeah, these might turn into 2-day events and maybe become a little bit longer. But either way, thought this was incredible. I've been loving the offseason so far. I've been loving some of not only the teams that we already know of that are guaranteed, but also just loving some of the teams that are coming out, like Incognito, for example, who may not already be signed, but so far looking very good together. And I believe may turn into Complexity and many others. So keep on the lookout. LVT Halo has been posting some more off-season events. Instead of doing free-for-alls and 4v4s, we've been seeing 2v2s and 4v4s from them. We've already seen one so far. We'll do a recap of a couple of those next week. But yeah, that's your HCS report, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Love you guys. Why not be reckless? AKY will be casting. Why not be casting? I do this full time. I know I've been a little bit slow with the YouTube coming out. We're gonna be doing a lot more. On top of that, we're getting into not only casting but content creation. We're also getting into coaching as well. Check out the Metafy. I have the link down below. We're doing a film review. We're doing game time as well, and we're also doing amazing bundles. The best value you can see on Metafy, $40 for 1 hour, and then if you get more than one, 50% off right off the rip. So literally get 2 hours worth of film review with me for $60, or a crash course for an hour and a half for $60 as well. Either way, guys, get involved. And if you want to play with your boy, if you want to learn with some of the stuff that which by the way, I've been able to watch and learn from some of the best players in the industry. I would love to share that information with you guys. But yeah, that's your video. Peace out.